Welcome along to the EXFL Tier 2 Season 8 United States Grand Prix. We're here for round 18 out of 22. I am F1 Union, your main commentator for tonight. We've got 13 drivers at the moment, still waiting on one more Frosty Life. And the Dutch Dodo said he would be racing, but is no on the scene at the moment. Sunny qualifying towards sunset. And it should be dry in the race as well. And then Tom, 619DD, heading out onto the track in the Red Bull. His teammate Luigi has been dominating. The EXFL Tier 2 scene recently in the last fortnight, winning back-to-back victories and back-to-back pole positions. Can it be the hat-trick for the Red Bull driver? Morgan in the Alpine looking to take third in the standings. As for the second week running, Seb isn't Seb isn't racing. Bluey has a qualifying ban, but I think they've just retired instead of disqualified themselves. Brilliant. Anyway, Cal in the McLaren, hoping to get some more good points on the board. I'm pretty sure he's good around here, so let's see what he can deliver. Warren in the Williams, hoping to get some more good points like he has in the last couple of races. Josh Hewitt back in the AlphaTauri, the only AlphaTauri once again. Let's see if he can actually complete the full race. Drifting, he's been coming into his own recently, getting some really good qualifying positions. Fifth is a career best in both quali and the race for him. So let's see if he can up that to the top four, maybe even a podium. Billy on return then in the Ferrari has found some pace, so do watch out for him. This track is pretty good for him as well. Callum H, runner-up in the World Championship, a 77-point deficit behind with only 5 races to go. He'd need a lot of luck as well as consistent wins and results. Cargos Blanc in the Alfa Romeo, got P4 last time out, also a driver to watch next season, as well as the end of this season with Alfa Romeo. We'll hope to finish off strong. Oren, the other Ferrari driver, the other reserve for the Scuderia, racing on his wheel that's finally arrived, but he's braking and accelerating with the clutch paddles, which is a first. And Logovic 09, the championship leader, the highest he can get, his gap today is 103 points from 77. After today there's 104 points left on offer, so even with 103 there's still 104, there's still a chance. So Logan cannot become world champion today mathematically, but I'm sure no matter what happens, even if the lowest it can go down to is 51 with 4 rounds to go, it still looks very promising for the McLaren driver. Tom, he's invalidated, getting out of the way. Luigi, I believe, did start his lap, but like it says there, invalidated also on the medium compound tyres. Morgan, he's just gone through the first sector, then there's a big gap behind to the next driver coming around the final corner, and it's Josh Hewitt opening his DRS to finish his lap, a 34.006 on the medium compound tyre then. Next up will be Cal, to come around the penultimate corner, into the final corner for the McLaren driver on the softs. This should top it ahead of Josh. It's going to be a 33.7, just under 3/10 ahead. And then across the line will be the Ferrari driver. Is that Billy? It is, to go 2/10 clear of Callum. So Billy's definitely going to be thrown right into the centre of the front guys, which is great to see. Cargos Blanc come around the final couple corners now. So easy to invalidate on the exit as Callum H by nearly 7/10 takes it back onto provisional pole. He's been a star qualifying this season, and he's given it his all right from the get-go. And Morgan 6/10 behind as well. Callum really trying to deliver everything he can to gain on Logan, who's in the pit lane. Cargos Blanc invalidated. So I think he was just beginning his lap, and even before we get to the S section, he's invalidated. Warren, 28.1 on the mediums. Tom, just ending the straight now. Let's see who it gets out of the way nicely. As Tom's middle set to split a 3.1. Right, just messaging Luigi. Seems like he's having frame rate drops, which is unfortunate. Right, Tom round the final corner. 32.8 is the time to beat. 33.7 to go 9.5 tenths off the time. Ah, yep, that's my fan wheel. Never mind. Yep, tilting it now. There we go. It is bloody hot. Yeah, I didn't realise the stream was picking that up. Oh well. Right, Warren to cross the line. 39.0. That hasn't even registered, I don't think. Warren just going past the sunset there. To be fair, he looks alright considering he's braking. There's Frosty. He's braking and accelerating with his clutch pedals. His clutch. The paddles, not pedals. There's the shot. Is this Luigi now heading out? Yep. We'll try and get the shot here. He's just entering the second sector now. There it is. It'll be great to see when they go full throttle through there, as drifting has just began his lap. Warren 5.0, that's about 1.9 off. But he is on the mediums, to be fair. Josh, whoa. Just getting behind drifting there, as he's now riding on board with the Williams driver, plunging through the S section. And Frosty gets into his Aston Martin. We'll see what his first sector split is for drifting. It's a 25.5 for the Williams driver. And we'll see him flat out. There he appears, and there he goes, heading into the heavy braking zone. Logan's still in the pit lane, just over 10 minutes remain, and Callum by 6 and a bit tenths still has provisional pole. As long as Bluey starts last, I guess that's his qualifying ban served, even if he didn't do it right. Oren pulling out the way, looking back to drifting, as he's making his way through the final sector now. Heading through the final couple corners for the Williams driver. One of these lot is going to take potentially their first pole on US soil. Seb took pole in Miami in round 5, 13 weeks later, or 14, as drifting goes P4. We're back in the US. Billy's on his outlap. So yeah, drifting goes 4th for the time being. Luigi 26.3. He might be struggling a bit. But here's this man, Frosty Life, probably the most successful driver in the history of the Tier 2 United States Grand Prix. 2 wins, 2 poles, 3 podiums, and he's looking to extend that those records. He's got Alonso's helmet. But yeah, let's see what he can do on what he does consider his best track. He's already had some star moments this season, getting pole in Netherlands out of nowhere. Keep an eye out for the one Aston Martin in this session. Car goes long round the final corner to begin his lap. Luigi, 5.2. Yeah, he's a couple seconds off the pace for the 2-time race winner. And it seems like he's really struggling. The lap would have ended by now, but he's already having to come across the line. You can even see on the onboards he is struggling. And 4 seconds down is Luigi. Logan on an outlap, about to start his lap. So right on board with the championship leader with the Senna-inspired helmet that he's ran throughout all season. Plunging down into turn 1. Heavy braking zone, using a bit of the inside curb as he uses a lot on exit. And now you just climb through the gears, getting the stability, straightening up as you head through the most famous parts. Josh Hewitt now puts his car with a brilliant lap, actually. Look how happy he is crossing the line. That is a really good lap. As a 25.4 set for Logan in the first set, that is a really good lap for Josh Hewitt. who also has had a win around here. Callum, by half a tenth, takes it back. And it's game on as Logan is going to show them what he can do. So far, so good for the McLaren driver. Neat and tidy. Luigi's gotten out of his way. Tom just heading on to the second sector now himself. Logan is going to end the straight now. Heavy braking, DRS closing. Left-hander coming up. So easy to lose it. A little bit of a correction there. And then you quickly, swiftly turn to the right. And again, climbing up through the gears and traction. And this is where all the time can be gained or lost. And so far, so good. Now it's just foot flat to the floor for 3 right-handers in a row. And all you're thinking about is how quickly you can go through this penultimate corner. How much curve do you want to take? You didn't really take too much. This is a bit more of a caution lap, just to get a time on the board for the McLaren, and then in the end, it will truly come to him. So across the line for Logan, it's a 32.9. He puts it P3 for now. Couple tenths off. There's a big deficit of 4.5 tenths between him and the other guy on the front, on the second row of Morgan. Car goes Blanc, what can he do into the first set to 25.3? That's a pretty solid one, considering he's been out there for quite a few laps now. Frosty Life, what about him? He's invalidated a 3.3 in the middle sector, which I don't think was good enough for pole, but potentially, definitely the second row. And he's going to have to leave it down to this last run. Callum H then, back on provisional pole by half a tenth ahead of Josh Hewitt. They both head into the pit lane. And yeah, for the first time in a while, Hewitt fighting for pole, which is great to see. Ooh, slide there from drifting. Literally in his name. Warren now on the soft compound tyres, beginning his lap. As Josh says, oi, to Callum. Where's this pace come from? Oh, so he's surprised within himself of how quick he is. That's good to see. Right, Warren found 7 tenths in the first sector within the same second as the guys in the front, but that's a slide as he starts the straight. Here's Oren then, with just over 5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session to start a lap. Luigi, what about him? He's found a second more, but he's still a second off. Luigi, who's been utterly dominant the last couple races. Maybe they have been the best tracks for him, but in terms of the US, it's only P10, 2.6 seconds down. This is so bizarre, but you can clearly see his frame rates, and I'm sure he can find a lot more pace than that if things were going well for him. Warren was up a 3.4. That was actually going to be a pretty good lap from Warren, but he's invalidated, unfortunately. So he's going to have to come in as Luigi's left, and luckily it has not retired him. So hopefully he can join back and get an actual good lap on the board. But him and a few others are in a spot of bother, Frosty Life being the big name there. And it's going to be Callum versus Josh to see what they can do. Callum, who's had 4 poles this season, joint with Sin Icon, who's not racing again. He won here last season, did he? So for Callum to take a potential 5th pole of the season, the most of anyone in Season 8, to take 5 poles in Tier 2 would put him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th. He's currently joint with our own EXFL Senna on 4 poles, no one else. So it would only put him ahead of him. Luigi, who's been on pole for the last 2 races, then Callum the 2 before. Luigi says he's loading back up now. Great. Right, 3 minutes left on the clock. They'll be heading out for their final run, drifting into the pits. He'll be one of the latest then. Cal out, one of the earliest. Oren heading into turn 1. Don't know if he's just exited the pit lane. I think he might have just started his lap. As he makes his way through the S section. What's his sector split? He's found 2/10 into the 25s. Well, considering he's 27.3 seconds down. The top three are in a league of their own, says Cal. They are a bit. As Cargos Blanc did go 4th. But that's still about 4.5 tenths off. But like Will is saying, full TC is very powerful around here for these guys. Is Luigi on yet? I don't think he's going to be able to do a lap. Yeah, there he is. Seb saying he doesn't know if he'll make it, but there's a chance. Again, he's not going to be able to do a lap. And at this rate, Luigi is neither. Luigi, pole sitter for the last 2 weeks and winner for the last 2 weeks, will start no higher than 10th at the moment. And Bluey, even though he didn't serve his quali ban right, he'll start last anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Right, Frosty doesn't want to join him on the 7th row. So he has to get a good lap on the board. Oren crosses the line. It's 11th for him. And that is qualifying done unless he's fueled for more. Cal heads into turn 1 to do his final lap. The top 7 all on their out laps then. And the first one of those to cross the line will be Morgan, I believe. Crossing the line now. So let's see what the Alpine can do as Josh Hewitt right behind him starts his final attempt to knock Callum off provisional pole. Josh Hewitt, who has not had a pole all season. His last pole was Japan, Tier 2, Season 4, nearly 2 years ago. And here he is, just over half a tenth off, as Morgan has found a 10th in the first sector. What about Hewitt? Didn't quite catch it. Callum's now just started his lap. Logan will be the last one of them lot. Cargos Blanc after him. Drifting. Looks like he'll be the last one. Yeah, he will, as Frosty starts his lap now. We'll look back to Morgan then on the straight. Billy, what about him? Don't discount the Ferrari driver. As Drifting has begun his lap, he will be the last car over the line, as the Red Bull in front of him of Luigi did manage to get out, but unfortunately it's too late for him. With 5 seconds remaining, the AI will take over his car, as we'll flick back to Morgan, who's up by 4/10 now, and this could well put him on the front, the second row, but he's going to need to push a lot to find the time, as Cal finishes the session in 7th. Billy down by 3 thousandths. Oren, has he gone again? No. So we'll flick it back to Morgan then. I think that's Warren in front of him. Coming around the final corner then, what can the Williams do across the line? It's a 34.3 to go P10. What about Morgan? He goes P3 ahead of Logan. Round the final corner, Josh Hewitt, he's invalidated. It will be no higher than 2nd. What about the Red Bull of Tom? Starting 9th at the moment. Across the line for Tom to go P5. Now in the background, Billy across the line. A 32.6 to beat. He goes P7. He improves by a 10th. Now we wait to see Callum, who's up by nearly 2/10. Logan, who's up by nearly 2/10. The top 2 in the World Championship. Closing in, the final corner awaits the Haas. Is it a 5th pole of the season? Yes, it is, until Logan crosses the line. He puts it P2. Cargos Blanc, he's up by 3/10. What can he do as he crosses the line? It's P5 for him as we await Drifting, the final car of the 14, as Frosty goes P10, Drifting around the final corner. Where's he going to go? It's P5, I believe, for the Williams. It is a career equaling best start for the Williams. It's the top 2 in the World Championship, lining up 2nd and 1st. It's a 5th pole of the season for Callum. Warren says he's trying manual for the first time. Interesting. I lost 4/10 on that lap, so scruffy from Cal. That could have put him as high as maybe 6th. But there's your grid then, the top 14. My fingers hurt after holding the clutch pedal in for like 2 minutes. Yeah, that's going to be a struggle for Oren. Sunny, USA. The driver's loading then. We have Callum on pole, ahead of Logan. Josh Hewitt, P3. He'll be very happy with that, I'm sure. Morgan, 4th. Drifting 5th. That's great to see again. Cargo's Bong 6th. Tom 7th. Billy in 8th for his return. Cal in 9th. Frosty Life 10th at one of his best tracks. Warren 11th. Luigi down in 12th. He's got some work to do if things work up again. Oren in 13th. Bluey Doggo will start the Grand Prix in 14th and last position. They'll be just changing their setup slightly, adjusting fuel loads and strategy. And here we go then. Hopefully no restarts. And we can get underway. This is the Tier 2 Season 8 United States Grand Prix in EXFL. The 5 lights come on for the drivers as the revs will rise. And it's lights out and away we go. The top 2 in formation as Josh Hewitt puts Logan under pressure as Morgan looks to the inside. Callum has gotten away easily. Round the outside goes Josh Hewitt on Morgan. Logan not having the greatest start once again, but at the moment it's all single file with a little bit of contact in the background. Warren and Billy connecting there as Tom is up to P6, fighting away with Cargo's Blonde. He's ahead as the Red Bulls up in a P6 then. It's Callum from Josh from Morgan. Logan losing 2 places, drifting, maintaining P5. Tom then Cargo's Blonde, then Oren up to 8th, spinning Cal around. And once again, it's an unlucky start to the race for the McLaren driver as Oren makes his way up. Frosty gains a place. Bluey Doggo's made up 4 places from last. As a switch for the lead then, Josh Hewitt as Morgan also fighting Callum. Josh Hewitt leads the United States Grand Prix as we get onto the straight. Then Callum, then Morgan on the softs. Logan just watching this all unfold. Looking at ERS levels, who's blasting, who's not, already down to 70% as Callum retakes the lead. Down the inside, 3. Fighting for the lead of the Grand Prix. Josh squeezes out on Callum. They're making slight contact. Into the corner we go. And it's slight contact between Callum and Logan with Josh and Morgan in front of them. And it's all changing about Logan down the inside of Callum. Callum comes back round the outside of his championship rival. And they're so close to contact. They're wheel to wheel. Logan round the outside. Callum sticking his nose in there. They're going to remain wheel to wheels. Callum using his battery. Getting back up in a 3rd as Drifting watches this back unfold. Morgan leads the United States Grand Prix then after 3 changes for the lead in 1 lap. And Oren ahead of Cargo's Blong now, who goes off in the background. It's Morgan from Josh, from Callum, from Logan, from Drifting, from Tom. Oren, then James, then Frosty, then Bluey. Luigi, then Billy, then Warren, then Cal all the way down in 14th. As Frosty's trying to make a move, as is Tom on Drifting. Frosty on Cargo's Blong then. Biggest gainer at the moment is Oren, 6 places from 13th. As we'll look to tyres, Morgan on the soft compound tyres then, the 5 behind him on mediums, then Oren also making up ground. Bluey Doggo same. So it seems like the softs are working for those who had a clean start. And yeah, absolute chaos throughout the front. The top 4. As Frosty's making up another move down the inside of Oren. He's getting his elbows out. And he's still got nearly 100% battery. 81 versus 55. Josh Hewitt, does he try and move to Morgan to the inside? Yes, he's going to go for it. Does he outbrake himself? Yes, he does. Morgan's going to switch back now. Josh rejoins back in 2nd. A little desperate attempt from the AlphaTauri there. He's just got to choose his battles wisely. As Cargo's Blonde now getting past Oren. But Oren gets back ahead of the Alfa Romeo, who's going to switch back on the Ferrari, but can't quite get the traction. Will stay behind for now on the hard compound tyres. The only other running that compound is Luigi. Still very close to Oren is Cargo's Blonde. Oren all over the shop there, trying to defend. Fastest laps galore, looking down the field. As yeah, Cal has got some work to do to gain back into the points. What a hectic opening lap. As we saw Callum clearly lead away, then Josh take the lead as Cargo's Blonde fights Oren again for 8th. And then Morgan take the lead, and then it was nearly a 3 or 4 car crash on the corner after the straight in the middle of the lap. So action everywhere you look here as Morgan using those softs a bit more to good use. And here we have a great camera angle of the top 4 as DRS for the first time in this race is allowed. So here comes Josh to try and make the move back on Morgan down the inside. Morgan breaks around, but Josh this time round takes the lead. Luigi ahead of Bluey Dogger before they even get to the corner. And Josh Hewitt has taken the lead then, back ahead of Morgan. So as we end lap 3, it's Josh from Morgan, Callum, then Logan. Once again, Logan hasn't had the greatest start, but he's been in this position quite a few times. Just stay behind and make his way up gradually, let them fight, stick with them, save his battery. And this is going to be very interesting with safety cars as a possibility and a mix of strategy. Callum all the way down to Frosty will be for position, and considering the top 6 are all in a DRS train, Frosty's going to have to burn quite a bit to catch them. But 1.8, it's not impossible as it's going down a bit now. He can use all his knowledge and experience to great effect. He is the most experienced driver out of these 14 on the grid, so he's got to use all his talent he possibly can and hope, like the opening lap, that these guys fight. Josh using a little bit of battery to stay ahead of Morgan, breaking the toe a little. Morgan not close enough for any sort of attempt. Billy though versus Bluey. They're wheel to wheel for P11, looking further to the front. So far, so single file. And Cargo's Blanc isn't actually in a bad position. If he can stick with DRS, as whoa, a little bit of lag there. Everything's changing. Look at that. 6 cars in a row, swapping. Warren and Callum, Bluey and Billy, Luigi and Oren. As Oren got ahead of Luigi, Billy got ahead of Bluey, and Warren stays ahead of Cal. Yeah, if Cargo's Blanc can stick with Frosty, which he's gonna be soon as Frosty goes off there, that can help him stick with these lot, but it is more than a second now, as his hards don't have the grip like the front runners do. And for now, it is going to be an interesting race, especially for the leader. We're on lap 5 of 28. Quickly check something. Yeah, Josh Hewitt, as Frosty now gets a penalty, as does Josh Hewitt. I was going to say Hewitt. His last win was the opening round this season of Bahrain, but his last win before that, 70 races before, was this race 2 years ago at the United States Grand Prix, where he won after a very interesting crash at the second corner, as there's a mega fight going on here with the 2 Ferraris and the Red Bull. Luigi gets ahead of Oren, and Billy may go down the inside of his teammate as they look towards the straight, as Morgan and Josh are fighting. Josh stays ahead of Morgan. Callum on the inside, so Morgan's lost the lead. No, he hasn't. Josh holds on to the lead, yeah. Ahead of Morgan, ahead of Callum. They're fighting like Frosty needs, but he's got that penalty. Warren still versus with Cal. This has happened a few times in the last couple rounds. And at the moment, Cal stays behind. Bluey holding his own in 12th. Billy. Whoa, as Bluey gets a penalty there. Looks like Luigi's still having some issues with frame rates. But he's in a Ferrari sandwich at the moment. Josh Hewitt then leads on to lap 6. Is Cal close enough for an attempt on Morgan? Have his softs fallen off yet? The top 3 who have all led the Grand Prix at some stage of the game, as Oren is in the wall there in the background. Not moving. Reversing now. I think he's lost an end plate. That's a bit too far in reverse, mate. But anyway, Billy versus Luigi. He's ahead. Callum, Warren. Cal gets ahead. Warren goes a little wide there, and Cal is up in the 12th. So, Oren, has he lost an end plate? Yes, he has. His right end plate is missing. He'll have to box for that. Logan letting Callum know he's there. Warren 3 second now, and yeah, this race is going to be decided by 3 seconds at this rate. Like most. Here comes Logan in the slip of Callum. Not quite close enough on the onboard. Stays behind for now. And Frosty's still 1.7, and Cargo is long falling further and further behind. These top 8, any one of them could still win this race. Billy leading pretty much the second half of the field. In the background, Cal trying to break the toe of Warren as he goes down the inside of Bluey and gets the move. So Cal making moves. That's 2 done. Now Warren's going to be all over the back of Bluey. Looks like the softs are falling off, and we're only about 5-6 laps in. So Josh Hewitt then leads the train to start a quarter race done. Morgan in the slip. Does he go to the inside? No, he waits and backs off behind. And Billy, I'm sure him more than, well, both Ferraris will be hoping for a safety car as Bluey's into the pit, Warren's into the pit lane to change those softs already. If it's mediums, he'll definitely pit again. If it's hards, that is going to be interesting if he can get to the end on those. It is the hards. As we have a yellow, and it's Oren losing, what, more of his wing? Whatever the case, it's fine now. 3/10 is the gap at the front between Morgan and Josh. Does he try a move? Josh nearly using a lot of his battery. Oren's given up in the pit lane then. Probably for the best. Here comes Morgan then with the DRS to go to the inside of Josh on lap 7. Morgan versus the AlphaTauri to the inside. Josh, will he hang around the outside? Yes, he will. Slight contact between the 2 leaders. Callum watching this unfold. And he still goes down the inside. Does Josh Hewitt versus Morgan. They're wheel to wheel. A little bit of a slide for the AlphaTauri. Back round the outside goes Morgan to take the lead of the US Grand Prix. Logan down the inside of Callum on his championship rival. Squeezes him out there. A little bit of contact. And Logan gets the place as Drifting is now looking to get into P4. Callum holds off for now as Logan has got the move done. And speaking of moves done, Josh Hewitt back into the lead of the US Grand Prix. Logan, Cal, Drifting and Tom is the order. As into the ball! Logan! He's had a moment. Has he got any damage? Miraculously, I think he's fine. Has he lost it? Has he been hit? Whatever the case, the championship leader has had a spin. He's going slowly. And he rolls into the pit lane. And this is going to be an early stop to salvage his race at this rate. But Logan, something happened there. And considering the car behind him was his championship rival, either Callum has hit him or Logan has lost it. Either way, it's not good for the McLaren driver. He does need a change of nose. That's probably why he was slowing down to change it from auto to yes, as it's getting a little peated for the top guys. I'm sure Logan, Josh and Morgan so far, it's been fine for them. A little bit of argy-bargy, but they're fine. Logan, a send on Callum, not for the first time this season. And got ahead. Drifting finds himself in P4. Could today be the day where Alex gets a first podium in EXFL Tier 2. At the moment, no overtakes happening at the moment. This allows Tom into the top 5. Frosty only losing a couple tenths so far. And no VSC or safety car yet. Luigi, it's so weird seeing him in 9th. I know he spent a lot of the season sort of around there. And then the last couple weeks, he's been at the top. But that's what a fortnight in EXFL does. As Cal making another move down the inside of said driver. And Cal has overtaken Warren. Bluey, now Luigi, and his teammate as well, pretty much in the pit lane, is ahead of Warren, who also pitted, so Logan's lost that much time. He's fighting with Warren for position. Warren gaining on Logan. Does he dare? To the inside. The Williams driver, he's going to fight him down the inside, and Logan has the momentum to come back around the outside and stay in front. 87 versus 11. Top 5 still within DRS of one another. Yeah, and it seems like Oren's fingers just gave up. If you didn't know, he's using his paddles, the gear shifts, as accelerate and brake somehow. I don't know how he's done that. But anyway, Bluey in after 8 laps on the softs. Speaking of which, Morgan, if 5, 6, 7 laps on the softs is the cutoff, good on him for still sticking with Josh how he is. with nearly double the battery. Callum's nearly flashing. Drifting's got 40. The most of anyone is Tom in 5th. Frosty's been using a bit more there. Tom looking in not too bad of a place at the moment. Does Morgan dare go ahead on Josh? Josh breaks later to go around the outside. A little bit of wheel banging again between the two. And Josh maintains the lead then. And they'll stay single file. But they're getting ever closer. When does Morgan decide to pit? Surely he'll be the first one of these lot. As down the inside goes Drifting for 3rd on Callum. Callum, for the 2nd time in this race, has been done at the same corner. What a beautiful move from Drifting to get up into 3rd. He left the room. Now he's getting the reward for it. He's onto the podium as Morgan's softs, they're clearly deteriorating, and he stays out for another lap. And at the moment, if it would have finished like this, Morgan would win. Obviously, they'll have to pit, but Morgan would win. Drifting would be on the podium. Callum, Tom, Cargo's Blanc looks like his hards are coming back into it as Frosty's losing time. Warren, another warning, but he's sticking with Logan due to the DRS helping. And Logan's just going to have to try and push as hard as he can to gain back all the time he lost. And I'm not even sure those can go the whole way. So Logan's race has definitely taken a hit, whether it was his own fault or it was his championship rival who hit him. We will find out probably after the race, unless there's a safety car, then we can find out during then. But yeah, what a action-enthralled first 10 laps of the US Grand Prix. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot to come. Morgan, the soft runner, the expected next in the pits. Half a second behind Hewitt. Using a bit of battery this time, he wants to hold on to the lead, but Morgan's close, but not close enough. No sorts of moves being taken at the moment, but it's the next corner after this one that we've seen a few dives. Does Tom dare, for the 3rd time, put Callum in more misery? Who started on the on pole, has dropped down to 4th. His main rival down in 11th, who's had quite a few comeback drives this season. This one's a bit different. Usually most of them he's been spun or something's happened on the opening lap. This time round it's a bit later on in the race that happened at this very part of the track. And Morgan stays out again. He's really taking these softs towards the limit with the rest. Frosty, oh, he sped. I was going to say he could try an undercut and gain within the top guys, but now he's got a 5-second time penalty. Penalties mean everything in EXFL Tier 2. Wins, championships have been decided on them. And so you'll pit for the hards to go to the end. Where does Cal come out? Where does he come out in respect to Cal? Cal's ahead of him. There's Luigi, who has not pitted. So Frosty's already a pit stop ahead of the 2-time race winner and nearly 10 seconds ahead of Logan. That's how far Logan is behind. And let's say Logan just lost it on his own. Callum needs to take every opportunity here to win the race, to gain 25 at the moment on Logan. It could be even less if Logan makes his way up into the points. And Callum is gaining on Drifting. He wants P3 back. He goes to the outside. Drifting's going for the defense. Does Callum dare break around the outside? Not quite. Tom, probably the most patient driver at the moment, has been on the back of this whole train, saving his battery. Look at it, it's 70 compared to the guys in front. It's the highest of anyone, and he knows when to strike at the moment. Now is not the time. And Morgan, surely he'll be in soon. That's Perez's helmet. Yeah. Didn't even notice, but that is a great looking helmet for the Alpine. Josh Hewitt then has been leading most of this Grand Prix. AlphaTauri, it's a common trend this season. AlphaTauri tend to lead a lot of the start, but either it goes wrong or something's happened. As Drifting! Nope. Callum's just into the pits. No. That looked weird. Right, so they remain as they are. Drifting, and then Tom now. Tom's up in the 4th. Right, yeah. So Callum was in 4th. Pits. That allows Tom up in the 4th. Callum then goes for the undercut. His strategy in Qatar wasn't the greatest, going for a 2-stop when everyone else went for a 1 and made him finish 7th, as that's where he's going to come out. There's Frosty getting past Cal, but there is Callum ahead in free air. And as long as he can get those tyres fired up, he's far enough in front of Frosty to avoid any sort of fight. And the fact Frosty's that close to Callum, that's proving the undercut's going to help them quite a bit. So if Callum can deliver some good laps, this could be the lead for him. The fact he's pitted before a soft runner. Does Morgan dare go for the soft medium route? At the moment, Josh doing a great job out in front. A little bit of a slide, though, as it looks like his mediums are falling away. Nearly using all his battery. Morgan's got double that. Drifting's in between. Tom has used a bit of his battery. Only 15%. As Cargo's Blong 5.2 behind. Billy has lost overall a second to Cargo's Blong the last time we checked, which was about 7 laps ago. As the people who have pitted will be coming up to overtake him. Logan, he's closing in on Luigi. But he is, what, half a minute off the lead as Morgan is in. Making sure not to speed. Drifting follows him in. So Josh and Tom. Tom, who has DRS for now, but he won't get it on the straight unless he burns a lot and gains on in the first sector. So not for the first time this season. We've seen Cargo's Blong start on the hards, go long, be at the front. And if there is some sort of safety car, that will really save his race. But now they're coming out the pit lane. Where's Callum? As Warren gets a 3-second. There's Callum. There is Frosty Life ahead of Morgan and drifting. So Frosty, by pitting a couple laps earlier, has found himself right in the thick of the fight as Callum is ahead of them. And this is where they're going to spread out a bit. Frosty has stuck with Callum, who will be trying to get past Billy on the straight. 1.3. Tom, who's blasted nearly all of his battery saved. Compared to the others that were near him, to try and get within DRS, to try and not lose as much time. And Billy looks like he's an easy target for Callum, who's a bit out of line there, as Frosty is going to look to maybe get Callum. A potential double overtake is on the cards for the Aston Martin, who uses his battery now. Callum goes to the inside on Billy. Billy goes a little defensive, goes back as Frosty's in the slip of both of them. Callum easily past Billy. Frosty easily past Billy as well. As Morgan will now be stuck behind the Ferrari driver. He's going to have to go fully around the outside as Billy just lets him go. Doesn't put up a fight with him. What about the front guys? Josh, is it time to pit? No, he's staying out. Tom, he pits. Cargo's Long will probably stay out, as Callum is in free air now. Frosty sticking with him. Again, using all his experience, ignoring the 3-second penalty he has, to get within the fight. And Tom puts the hard compound tyres on. He'll probably be at the back of this train as Billy stays out again. He's the only other medium runner with Josh. And Tom exits the pit lane. This is going to be a little close, but I believe he'll be at the back of this train. There's Billy. There's Tom. Billy goes around the outside. It's going to be close as Billy is ahead of the Red Bull. But he's going to blast his battery to come back around the outside of the Ferrari. They're going to be wheel to wheel through the S section. Tom versus Billy, and they make slight contact. Billy down the inside. How have they not spun? Billy back down the inside. Somehow as Tom goes back off the track, they are losing time to the guys in front, but somehow they haven't spun off one another. And Billy getting his elbows out there, and Tom is just going to have to wait like he should have at the beginning for the DRS. Does he go for the inside? Billy goes defensive. Tom's got the DRS. Breaking around the outside as Billy gives him the room. And Tom will get the place just about. As Billy will now slip him behind. Tom has the DRS to keep in front. Billy has the slipstream to stick within as Frosty is fighting Cal down the inside. Frosty gets ahead of the Haas. The Haas will try the switchback. Billy back ahead of Tom. Tom with the switchback as well. Callum back with Frosty. They're swapping places with Morgan as well as Tom and Billy leave. Seems like it's just about fair between them. Frosty versus Callum for the potential lead of the Grand Prix. Callum has lagged luckily as Frosty stays behind for now with Morgan, and Tom did get the move on Billy. Another penalty for drifting as Morgan over the back of Frosty Life. Callum flashing there. Frosty with 50%. Drifting not too far off from either. Morgan with not too far off from either. And drifting using a little bit. Is he going to gain on Morgan? He's going down the inside. Is drifting. He wants this podium. And he goes to the inside of Morgan. Morgan will try the switchback on the Williams. Absolutely perfectly. Drifting hasn't managed to perfect it. Logan ahead of Billy, who's into the pit lane now. It's all kicking off. And is Josh going to extend his tyres potentially to a medium soft stint? Who knows? Callum making mistakes there. Warren into the pit lane retires. So then there were 12. Callum under pressure then from Frosty, nudging him as we are closing in on the next DRS straight. So it's Callum in the effective lead, then Frosty Life, then Morgan, then Drifting. Tom has lost 4 seconds nearly due to the battle with Billy, as well as staying out longer. Logan's 7 seconds behind on 5 lap older tyres. Luigi 14 laps yet to pit, I think. Frosty then gets ahead of Callum, who's all over the shop. Don't know if that was a bit of lag. Whatever the case, Frosty's ahead of the Haas now. And unfortunately that 3 second is hindering him. The guys behind don't know their warnings, but they are still in the fight, in the contention. And they are 13 seconds off the lead. So if Hewitt does pit for new hards, which he is coming in for now, oh, he's got a... Don't know if that penalty... Don't know if that warning was legit for Josh. But that's another penalty, I believe, because he already had one. Cargo's Blonde comes in as well. So, is it the softs or the hards for Josh Hewitt? It is the soft compound tyres. He is going to be rapid on those tyres. And he actually, I don't think, has lost too much time. This pit lane does drag on a little bit. He's out behind Tom. He's not a million miles off them. And if they keep battling, you never know with Josh. Cal, penalty. Logan, there's Cargo's Blanc. Callum now with a penalty. Logan round the outside. So Callum now has a 3 second time penalty. And now it looks good for Morgan. It looks very good for Drifting. And Tom, he's gaining a lot of time, but he's used all his battery. And Josh is going to soon be gaining on them. I remember, was it last season? Josh had a potential chance in the Aston for the win. But at that corner he's just passed, he was too aggressive on the better tyres. So let's see if 6 months later he's learnt from that. And he can be patient and know when to attack, know when to hold back. As we look to the front. Drifting's lost a bit of time to them, but he's still sticking with them. Billy gets ahead of Luigi. Cargo's Blanc gets back ahead of Logan. Can't really do anything. Doesn't fight it. And Cargo's Blanc also... I mean, he's 8 seconds off Josh, but also he'll be gaining on the guys in front. Morgan all over the back of Callum. So everyone's on the hard compound tyre, apart from Josh on the softs. Cargo's Blanc on the medium. So let's switch it to penalty. 6 seconds for Josh. I don't know if his second penalty is actually that legit. He got it in the pit lane. So if he wants to remove it, he can try. Frosty's got 8 seconds, of course. He sped in the pit lane and has the 3 second that he got right at the start. Very interesting. If there's a safety car that could save Logan's race, as well as help Billy and Luigi. Bluey 15 off as Josh is ahead of Tom. Wow, he's gained 2 seconds like that. Wow. And Tom can't do anything to defend. Josh nearly using everything there to get ahead of him as well. And whether he works together with Tom or not is the question. That's another penalty for Josh Hewitt. That is his downfall at the moment. Everything going right besides his warnings. And if he can keep it within the white lines. And look at that, he's right on the back of them already. That's how much he has gained. Fastest lap at the moment is a 36.9. Josh only did a 37.1. It's actually very close, the fastest laps. And it's, like, we're talking very close. Look at that. About 6/10 covers the top 9's fastest laps. Crazy. And then you have Bluey. As a change of leadership. Frosty versus Callum. Down to the inside. Morgan watches Callum take the lead ahead of Frosty. Josh has joined the fight. Tom is almost there. Frosty losing the rear again at that corner. Morgan, does he go to the inside of Frosty? Yes, he does. Will Frosty leave him the room? Yes, he will. Will Morgan leave him the room? Just about. As Drifting, I believe, had a go on the inside of Morgan there, and that's cost him. As that's allowed Josh up in a fourth. Morgan still fighting with Frosty. Frosty is ahead still, and that's allowing Callum to reap ahead, and he's got to get a 3 second gap to at least Morgan. Frosty holding him up. And Josh finds himself on the softs in fourth. A little bit of a slide here, using everything he's got as he sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Here we go then. Frosty to the inside. He defends to Morgan. Josh spots a gap to the inside on Morgan. It's a double overtake for Josh Hewitt. He's there with Frosty now, but Frosty, with a bit more momentum, stays in front. But he's got the move as Josh on Morgan. Drifting now, putting him under pressure. This is allowing Cal to streak ahead clear. As Josh, he doesn't know where the paces come from. A little bit of a mistake there. Morgan senses an opportunity. as Drifting, watching this unfold. This has allowed Tom to join the fight. This is brilliant action. Josh not with the Frosty not with the greatest exit. That allows Josh to the inside. He'll get the DRS. He'll go down the inside of the Aston Martin to take P2 in the United States Grand Prix. Use the battery to get away as well as the DRS. And Frosty is a bit of a sitting duck now to Morgan and maybe even Drifting. 2 seconds then is the gap with Callum to Josh as Morgan goes to the inside of Frosty. Drifting going defensive, not really needed to. Tom's not close enough as Morgan nearly runs into the back of the AlphaTauri. Will that allow Frosty to get a move done? Not quite. Drifting down the inside. Whoa, just enough. Far ahead is Frosty. Just Drifting there to the inside again. Yes, he's going to go for it. It's Drifting. Frosty's there and they're wheel to wheel. And just about enough space given as that's going to allow Morgan to get ahead of Frosty. Still hanging on in. Just Drifting, frame it round the outside. They're perilously close to contact. And Drifting looks to the inside on Frosty. Does he go for it? Yes, he does. Frosty just about keeping on track. This will be brilliant if Drifting can make it. Yes, he has as Frosty has backed off. Now has to stay behind because Tom hit the back of him. He was going to go into the pit lane. Drifting got the move done because Frosty backed off, but he didn't know that Tom was right behind him. And now these two are getting close to contact as they both have damage, I think. Yeah, Frosty has lost his left end plate and so has Tom. Either Frosty was backing off to go into the pit or he was just backing off in general to let Drifting have the place so they didn't lose as much time. He didn't account for the fact that Tom was right behind him. And that was essentially a brake check as Frosty went straight across the pit entry. And now Cargo's Blong is going to get held up on Frosty. That might be an illegal overtake. Nah, it should be fine. Frosty forces Cargo's Blong off there. If anything, he should just let him go like he has done now. And Josh Hewitt for the lead of the Grand Prix then. On Callum. Takes it back. Callum now just has to stick with him. Hope Morgan doesn't get in the DRS. Knows he'll beat Josh because of all his penalties as Frosty comes back at Cargo's Blong to the inside. Cargo's Blong has the momentum to get ahead. And Tom with that wing damage, I think that's him out of contention. This could give a few free positions to Logan, who could still find himself 5th by the end of this. So they've all spaced out a bit. Drifting. The podium chances could still be on if he sticks within 9 of Josh, which he is exactly half of that behind. But the softs are going to help Josh. But will they stay intact for the end? Callum on the hards compared to Josh's softs just has to stick with him and hope the gap extends as Frosty has caused a yellow there. Lost his front wing and that's a safety car because Frosty has once again failed the pit entry as Tom is in. That saved their race. That actually helps Logan a bit to gain on these lot, and that has completely ruined the top 2 because of their penalties. Frosty gets to serve his 5 set, and that all got a bit messy there. Does this help Josh? Or does the safety car help preserve the tyre life in those softs? This does change a few things. Tom onto the softs, Billy onto the softs, Cal onto the softs, Frosty on mediums, Luigi on mediums, Bluey, mediums. And if they did save any softs, those who have gone medium hard, they can put those on as well. Morgan still looks in a really good position at the moment, as does Drifting now. And Cargo's Blong. If anything, that might have just either ruined or helped. It depends. If Cargo's Blong was going to catch them anyway, ruined. But if he wasn't, this does help him still be with them, if anything. And now we get to find out if Logan spun on his own or was it Callum. Everyone's saying that was silly from Frosty. Just, I'm guessing everything he did. The leaders all pitting then. No one's staying out, which I think is the smart thing to do. So what does Josh go on to? Because this will surely be a used set of softs. Yep, Callum on. Morgan and Drifting. Logan in. He'll put the softs on as well because he definitely saved a set. And he should come out in 7th, so that has saved Logan's race. And hopefully, considering it's a safety car, nothing will happen. I will be back in a minute. You join us on lap 22 of the United States Grand Prix here in EXFL Tier 2, Season 8. Hope everyone who's been watching has enjoyed the race so far. We've lost Oren, who retired early on. Warren, same, both in the pit lane. It was Frosty Life down in 11th who has caused the safety car. The top 9 all on softs. Luigi and Bluey going for the mediums, as well as Frosty. Josh Hewitt, I think he's saying he's going to probably get screwed over a bit because of his penalties, the most of anyone. The others who have pens: Callum, Cal, Frosty and Bluey. Oh, what's happening there? Will he give it back to Luigi? Don't know why there's been a swap there. It hasn't been explained yet why Logan spun, but we're going to have 6 laps of racing as more stuff is happening with Luigi. So it's going to be Josh Hewitt, who at this rate won't care what happens because he's got 9 seconds and that's going to drop him down the order. Callum will need to pretty much get past Josh and get a 3-second gap. At the moment it looks really good for Morgan, really good for drifting, and really good for Cargos Blanc. Tom, a bit of an up and down race for him. This brings Logan certainly back into play. Billy as well. Cal has that 3-sec, same with Frosty. Luigi, you never know, and Bluey, he's just there to see if he can get a point. And we'll see as the safety car peels off into the pits in a few seconds when Hewitt will go. Number 32 goes full throttle and we are underway. Callum not exactly on the back of him, nearly a second behind as we get the Grand Prix back underway. Green flag racing returns with Josh, then Callum, Morgan, Drifting, Cargo's Blanc, Tom, Logan, Billy, Cal, Frosty to complete the top 10, then Luigi, then Bluey, single file into turn 1, no sorts of sends making at the moment. As they're all just getting to grips with their softs. As I don't think tyre wear should be an issue, fuel definitely won't be an issue. It's all about maximum attack now as they plunge their way into the S section. All 12 of them at the moment, so far so good. The closest being Cal, all over the back of Billy. In other leagues, these two, fierce competition between the two. And at the moment, looks like Cal is closing in on the Ferrari. Will he be able to pass him is another question. Bluey, 3-second time penalty. That's a second now for him. Callum, 35% burned. Josh, over 45 now. Morgan, nearly a second behind now. Drifting, using everything he can. He wants a podium, but he wants more than that. He wants the win. Does he go for the inside on Morgan? Yes, he does. Does the Williams. Down the inside. Brilliant move from Drifting. Executes it perfectly. He's now in a net winning position for the Williams driver. No more top fives for him, but Morgan's coming back on Drifting, who goes to the inside to defend. Will Morgan try the switch now? No, Drifting has better momentum, and whilst he's more than a second behind Callum, Drifting looks in perfect position at the moment. It was all about Abu Dhabi if he could win. We're 4 weeks early from that. He's really coming into his own as Drifting. Callum, fastest lap. He has to use everything really to get 3 seconds in front of these guys. Morgan knows this is for the win versus Drifting, as was Cargo's Blanc. Morgan, a 2-time race winner. Cargo's Blanc, who's had a podium in EXFL Tier 2. Drifting, his highest finish is P5. And today it looked like it was going to be much better than that. At this rate, we did not know it was going to be the win on the cards for the Williams driver. His whole career has been building to this. And I'm sure he's loving it out there, but also hating it. Callum versus Josh. This is going to get very interesting. Pretty similar ERS levels. And in 1 lap time, when the DRS is activated, Callum will be able to attack Josh. At the moment, he's just not close enough. So at the moment, Drifting with 44%. Morgan actually has less. Morgan and Logan, usually are the ones with a lot of battery. Everyone's blasting here, and Logan's looking to the inside of Tom for P6. Down the inside goes the championship leader, and he's up in a P6 then. Tom will stick behind him. Billy still ahead of Cal, but over a second behind Tom. A lot of curb there being taken by the McLaren. So Logan finds himself in 6th. A potential P4 on the cards if he doesn't make any more moves. We'll switch it to leader. It's all about Callum versus Logan as well. And at the moment, it is very close. At the moment, Callum would still beat Logan as they're off again. Josh Hewitt, 9 seconds. That would drop him literally behind Luigi. He's going to... Oh, as Frosty gets another penalty. He's going to lose out to every driver who doesn't have a penalty at the moment, which is going to drop him to about 9th. Yeah, a season that has been very heartbreaking for him after so many challenges. But at least, unlike a lot of recent races, he's still in the race. And they're running out of laps. Is Callum to... Oh, as Bluey's retired in the pit lane, that leaves 11. Callum's running out of laps. He needs double that gap he has to Drifting to win the United States Grand Prix. And AlphaTauri, who won on US soil this season in Miami, another AlphaTauri is leading at the moment. They will not win, however, due to their penalties. But this time on lap 25, look how much Drifting has gained on the top 2. He's coming into his own, is Alex, and Callum takes the lead of the United States Grand Prix with the DRS. Josh, what will he do? Nothing. He has to sit behind. And the further he falls back from Callum, the better for Drifting. Logan now making another move on Cargo's Blanc. Logan up to 5th now, as in the background, Cal versus Billy. Cal's got the move done on Billy, up into P8, but with that 3 second, he's going to drop him potentially down to 10th. Frosty might be the driver without any points today, as down the inside goes Luigi on Frosty Life, and Luigi barely stays on the track himself to get ahead of the Aston Martin, as Cal and Billy are fighting for P8. Tom looks like he just hasn't got the pace at the moment. Cargo's Blanc, same with him. Logan, he's making his way through the field. He could still find himself on the podium as he's fighting with Morgan, who's out of battery. Drifting's out of battery. He's trying to stick with these lot as we have 3 to go. Logan making moves, making himself in P4. as Frosty's given up. That means everyone left will be on the points paying positions. Logan, with a safety car to help him, has found himself in a net P2, but he's over 3 seconds behind Drifting. 2 seconds behind Drifting. He's exactly 3 seconds of his title rival. And it's going to be very close between him and Callum. But at the moment, can you believe it? With 3 to go, we could be having a new winner on our hands. And he's really stepping his game up for to be a future runner for next season. It could all start right back dating to the 9th of May 2024. His name is Drifting in the Williams, and he's looking on Josh to the inside. Does he dare for P2? No. He just knows he has to stick with the cars in front, as the yellow of Frosty will clear up in a sec. At the moment, no moves happening at the moment. Callum doing all he can, but at the moment it's going to be P3 for him. Logan is going to beat him for P2 and extend his lead. Callum does have a fastest lap, to be fair, and extend his lead from 79 points to 77 points to 79 points. And after Mexico, it will go down to 78, which means it's very crucial for who finishes in front of who for today, because for Mexico, it will be who finishes in front of who to decide the title. And at the moment, we're on the penultimate lap. Drifting, sticking with Josh, having great race pace, has been patient, has made great moves when it counts. Callum just trying his best. It's very close between him and Logan, like it has been for quite a few races this season. It's a penalty game to see who's going to keep within and just lose out. And Logan knows this. And at the moment, he's just sticking with Callum. And if Callum wants to lose the lead on this lap to Josh and get the DRS he needs on the next lap, that could just save him. But it could also lose him the time. And you never know who could be under investigation, etc., etc. As they are on the back straight for the penultimate time. Josh using everything. Does he go for the inside on Callum? Stays behind for now. Drifting didn't have the DRS, but he doesn't need it. 2.8 is going to be very close between Logan and Callum. You can see his eyes, he's focused in that cockpit. Drifting, he's just got 1 and a bit laps to go. In his 24th race, joined last season, made his way from outside the top 10 to scoring some points. This season he's converged that into scoring good solid top 10 finishes, making his way into the top 5, and he hasn't finished higher than 5th on multiple occasions. We predicted the podium was next for him. We did not predict he would make the big step up to potentially winning a Grand Prix in EXFL Tier 2 Season 8. And whilst he has dropped off a little bit, he just has to make sure he doesn't lose more than a second this lap. Josh Hewitt, another penalty to add to his woes. That'll confirm him dropping down to probably 9th, maybe even 10th. Callum, he's done all he can, and it is very close between him and Logan. It could go to either one of them for who's going to end up 2nd and 3rd, and which way will the championship shift from 77 down to 75 or up to 79 with 78 points remaining after Mexico. It's really going to be game on between them, and it is fractions of a thousandth of a second between the two that are going to decide this. Look at that, 2,000ths flicking back. It's so close between them. Drifting has the DRS to keep him with Josh. Does he dare for the inside? He's going to make it on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Drifting with the win in his hands. Callum, he's going to pray they battle and lose time. Logan's closing on the back of Drifting. This is very close now. 2.5 between Callum and Drifting. Who's going to go for it? Down the inside on Josh. He's going to go for the switchback. It's going to be close. And Josh and Drifting are now wheel to wheel. Drifting wants to win a Grand Prix for the first time, but he needs to make sure he stays within 3 seconds with Josh Hewitt. Down the inside, it's close to contact. He forces Drifting off. Callum round the final corner. Has he done enough? Is it a 3-second gap? Oh my God, it's going to be Callum to take the win away from Drifting. Josh Hewitt cost it. Callum has won the United States Grand Prix because Josh Hewitt has fought Drifting on the last lap to take away the win. It's still a first podium for Drifting in EXFL Tier 2, but it is unfortunately the worst way to get your first podium and miss out on the win on the last lap like that. Callum, his best friend, begins with J, and it is Josh Hewitt who has just gifted him that win. Callum wins the United States Grand Prix, gains 11 points on Logan, 77 down to 66 now. Drifting, you have to feel for him as Logan salvaged his way back onto the podium. Can you believe it? Josh had every right to fight. His race was done and dusted, and he played fair. It could have ended worse than that. I'm surprised a lot of times people didn't get spun off the other. But Drifting, you gotta feel for him. But Callum, he did everything right. He had to hope for a bit of luck. And wow, what a race. Callum, it's maximum points. It's the pole, it's the win, it's the fastest lap for Callum, but it was not as easy as it looks on paper. Drifting gets his first podium in EXFL Tier 2. On paper, that's still brilliant for him. 18 points on the board, but he's going to be absolutely gutted to not get that win. Logan gets back onto the podium. Morgan gets fourth in the end. I'm sure he'll be a little annoyed that it wasn't a podium. Cargo's long top five. Tom stayed in sixth throughout most of the race. Billy seventh. Luigi managed to salvage eighth. Cal down to ninth. Josh Hewitt did end up finishing last of the runners. Then Frosty, Bluey, Warren and Oren were the retirees. Just about got the race director there. Jeez. Oh, wow. What a race. And if you think about it, yeah, Drifting didn't exactly have to go for that move on Josh either. But he went for it. And it cost him. And if Logan, I don't know if he's racing next week, but But I do want to find out what happened between Logan with his spin. Callum's just typing now. I'll get a clip. Think he just lost it on exit. Okay. Seems like it was just a mistake on Logan's half. And I think Frosty's apologised for whatever he did. We'll get Drifting and Logan in the pie in a sec. Right foot. I'll just talk to him in the interview. Right, Drifting. Oh, he's going to be so gutted, but also kind of happy at the same time. And we'll invite Logan. Right. Right, joining us is P2 at the moment. We'll await P3, and the emotions are very high, very mixed, very complicated at the moment. But for the first time, after 24 races, Alex, mate, you are on the EXFL Tier 2 podium, but you had the win in your hands.
I know. It's what I said. Stupid errors.
Have you included your audio, mate, by the way?
Yeah.
You had the win in your hands. You went for the fight on Josh on the last lap. If you stayed behind, you may have been able to win, but you went for it because you're a racer. But alas, you lost just by a couple of tenths. But hey, you got to look at the positives. You were brilliant out there, and it is your first podium in EXFL Tier 2. Sum up how you feel. How was that race for you?
Not the first time within a week I've lost the win to a Callum by less than a few tenths, but you know, I mean, thought the pace was good. Did fuck up the strategy like last week. Honestly, yeah, could have done better, but you know, we take the positives. First podium, good push. We await Mexico.
Yep, you take that very well indeed, considering how, it was just more experience, more focus, and just knowing what to do, and I'm sure that wisdom will carry over if it presents itself in the future. But for now, you're taking it on the heart. You got some good points, and yeah, I guess you're just focusing on these races, trying to get as good as possible for when you begin a potential charge for next season, because you are looking a very good candidate for Tier 2 Season 9, I might add.
Yeah.
How's your thoughts for next season, considering last season was your adjustment of rookie, this season is seeing where you are, and then next season I'm sure you'll definitely be up there.
I mean, what was I gonna? Next game, it's a completely new driving model, so everyone's gonna have to get used to seeing like how the driving model could just go from where I am right now to fighting Oren or Blue Dogger.
You never know. But anyway, for now, after getting top 5 P5s in qualifying a race quite a few times, you've made the push. We predicted the podium, and you just wanted to save it for Abu Dhabi, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, still great result, great racing. You pulled off some great moves. I think the best moves in that race were from you. That send before the 3 right-handers on. I think Callum was absolutely great.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done on P2. Can't into Callum because he's not on Xbox. But yeah, well done to him on the win. We move to Logan, P3. Hi mate, have you included your audio?
Yeah.
First question, right out of the bat. I think you said it in the chat, but what happened on the penultimate corner? Callum didn't hit you, did he? Or
Nope.
did he? You just lost
Nope.
it?
That was a mistake.
Okay. all race, I was in the back of my head like, oh, I don't know if the top 2 have just come together. If you've just lost it, very unfortunate. How did you lose it? Was there an issue with something?
I don't know. I sent it on Callum like a couple of corners before. I was like, yeah, he's quite slow here. Let's try and get past. See how it goes.
Yeah, drifting saw that. Thought he'd copy it.
So we go and do it with a bit of contact. May I add? But I mean, game's the game. You've got to, in order to have a move like that, you've got to have the balls to make one. And if you want to stick it inside, then you need to.
On the off-board, it didn't actually look like you got damaged, but did you get what? Very light damage?
I got 2. It was strange damage. I got 2 yellow wings.
Oh, okay. So is that why you were going slowly into the pit lane to change it from auto to yes to fix wing damage?
No, don't know why. What you do want to know why. The strategy thing that comes up when you get damage came up and it said, look on your MFD for a new strategy.
Oh,
I didn't really look at it for it to say I thought it said hard, but no, it said soft medium, so I went on that. Had to literally switch from auto to yes and go on to the hard. Like, in so quick, without also getting disqualified.
It looked like the highest you were going to finish was anywhere between 5th to 7th, so that safety car did come to your aid a bit. Yeah. And then you were making moves brilliantly up the field. Yeah. Everyone was on pretty much the same tyre, but no, you made the difference of just being quicker and better. And then you salvaged P3 on track, P4 on track, and then got P2 in the end, P3 in the end. Yeah.
Disappointing. I mean, those extra 3 points can help me out for next week, but I mean, we'll talk about the maximum gap for next week after the race.
Yeah, I just wanted to say on the gap. The gap's gone from 77 to 66. Are you racing next week?
Probably.
Or do you not know? Probably.
Probably.
Okay, well, with only 78 points remaining after Mexico, next week is the first chance for you to become EXFL Tier 2 World Champion. You simply need to outscore Callum by 13 points. If he does not finish on the podium and you win, you are World Champion in the track that you won at last season due to penalties, and it could all kick off. You never know. I'm sure those words mean a lot for you, but for now, you've still got a solid lead. At this rate, it's more of a question of when you'll be champion, not if. Unless, if you didn't race next week, there's maybe a bit more of a chance for Callum. But at the moment, you've still got very much a lot of control, and I'm sure the constructors' side of things will also be looking good for you. We'll have to figure that out later. But for now, very well done, Alex, on P2, and I'm sure that win is coming soon, mate. If you win in Abu Dhabi and Logan gets his P3, I think that would be a brilliant end for both of you for the season.
Besides that, that has been the United States Grand Prix, probably one of the best races of the season. Like, I don't think there was a dull moment at all. There was action everywhere you looked, and there wasn't actually that big of any spins or contacts or crashes. So we'll see you next week in Mexico. That has been the USA GP at Texas, and yeah, the championship rolls on.